Hi, welcome to Pizzo's Perfection, where perfection is never perfect. Today, I want to talk about editor or not. Editor or not. So in my journey, I have done all the things, and that's kind of the way I work in everything. I move from one level to another, to achieve a lot of my goals, and I'm always looking for what should I be doing after I've completed this goal. And so there were lots of different steps that led up to even me having this discussion about possibly having an editor. And that's what we're going to talk about. Is having an editor a choice that you may want to look at pursuing or not? And what went into some of my decisions about having an editor. We're going to talk about all of those things today. Thank you so much for being a part of Pizzo's Perfection. Please like, share, subscribe. Please comment. Tell me what you want to learn from me about my journey that might help you in your journey. I'm all about inspiration and encouragement and all of those things. So please, if you have any questions, if you want me to explore any topics for you, let's definitely have that conversation and leave it in the comments. I'm looking at myself and I think I'm okay, but I was out in the sun and the rain all weekend long, and I'm feeling like my makeup is a little, you know how when you start to tan up, your makeup gets a little wonky. So I apologize about that if that is so, and you're like, what's going on with that girl's makeup? All right, so let's talk about my journey. The last manuscript I finished up, I really felt like this is something powerful here. I really love it. It's called Wisdom House Dance Club. It's a coming of age story of a young girl who has a whole community sort of wrapped around her as she falls in love with a longtime crush and begins a relationship, and then experiences death on different levels. So I wrote it very quickly, about 3 months. I talked about that before in my writer's update. So please go back and listen and comment on that video. But I wrote it in about 3 months straight through, and it's about 56,000 words, YA, and I wanted more eyes on it. So I gave it to my beta readers, and they have it. I haven't received a whole lot of feedback from them, period, because life is crazy. They all are very powerful career women, just like I am, with families and extracurricular activities. And so I haven't heard much back from them, but I definitely wanted to move forward. And I'm not someone who likes to sit around and wait. And so I've been working on some other materials, some other manuscripts, and I talk about how that process is for me in that writer's update. So please go back and review that. But I wanted to move forward with this particular Wisdom House Dance Club manuscript. And I had been for a while wanting a editor, because I have a poetry book that I plan to release this year, a poetry collection. And I really was serious about not releasing that collection without having some professional eyes on it, just as a quick overview of these are some areas that need some improvement, because I never want anyone to spend their money on something that I produce and it is not quality. I've done that and I haven't been happy about that, and you feel like, oh, I got gypped on this. And I don't want anyone walking away from any of my writing that way. And I feel like any creative work is a process. That's the bottom line. There's a process to any creative work. And so I recognize that, you know, the first book may not be the most amazing book that I ever produce. I hope I continue to grow and get better and better and better. That this is definitely my rookie year. And so, but I still wanted to produce quality work, and I wanted an editor to be able to look at that poetry collection and make sure before I put it out there that it didn't have any blatant errors or grammar issues or was problematic in any way. I reached out to an editor that is a professional poet and very well known in the industry, but also looking for work because they had an advertisement in there were some connections for me, some personal connections like my hometown, some of what their poetry talked about. I saw a little bit of relatability in it, and I reached out to them. I wrote this amazing letter with all of this stuff about how we connect and relatability, so that he would just be interested in reading the letter and exploring who I was. And so long story short, he asked me to send several pieces so he could see if we were even compatible as editor and writer, if it was even something that he would even look at or edit. And I thought that was different because as a teacher, you get what you get. You know, you try to move your students or those you work with forward, no matter what they are. And even though you may not appreciate all of the content that they might be producing, might be totally different than what you would produce, you still try to move them forward. But okay, so I sent what he requested along with the short story. And in the short story is part of my collection of short stories. And he said, okay, we are not compatible, poet editor. I write totally different than what he would write. I write a lot of social justice poetry, ponderings, wonderings about the world around me and how we as humans can live within a society together, unified, but moving the needle forward on behalf of children mostly, but on behalf of a better world. And so that was not in his vein, but he said he was really interested in the short story and that he would edit that for a price, and gave me the price, and he could move that forward. And there were some issues that he found in it. And I was intrigued about that. I was intrigued because I wasn't ready to even dive into this short story collection, really. I wanted to move in my mind from poetry to, my manuscript, and then on and on. So I had a different plan. I pondered about it and thought about it, reflected on it for about a week. And then I finally said, okay, whatever it is, I would learn from it. And when I reached back out to him to say, let's do this, let's go over a contract, he said he had taken a bigger editing job and no longer had time within his calendar schedule. So no big deal. I feel like what's for me is for me. And if it's not for me, something is for me and most likely better. So that was fine, and I moved on. But at this point, he did give me a recommendation of someone. I looked at that person's profile and I just felt like I didn't know him at all. I don't, it's a recommendation from someone I really don't know either. And I just felt like I wanted to be the one that discovered who I would work with as an editor. Now, mind you, if you are not ready, and this is going to be a two-part video. Maybe even 3 parts, because there's a lot to this. If you are not ready financially, if you cannot afford this, I would not recommend doing an editor. There are many ways that you can connect with different writing associations, different beta readers, different critique partners. I have a video, Finding Your Squad, that you can find people to help move your writing forward. And to be perfectly honest, in this day and age when we have so much information in front of us at the click of a button with YouTube and with Twitter and all of the different social media, we can find people across the world in any field, any area, then it's easier. Then we're pushing this kind of stuff. But I doubt many of the champions and writers that I love had this process as a part of their writing journey, just because it's the times in which we live in. So moving on, I didn't feel like I wanted to pursue the person he recommended because I didn't know that person any more than I knew him. And I wanted to do more research. And I will be honest, I really wanted someone of color. The first person was not of color, but I saw some connections in his own poetry to me. So I said, I really want someone of color, and I would love to be able to champion a woman of color as an editor, if possible. So I reached out to a couple of people in the publishing industry that I know through Twitter and just said, hey, do you have any recs of anyone that I can review? I'm thinking about getting an editor, a freelance editor. And I was given a name, and then I continued to do some research, and I discovered someone. So at this point, I had 2 editors that I really was interested in sort of doing an interview with and see if they might be compatible. And those 2, I did not want to pursue both at the same time. I probably should have. I mean, that's really what we should do because it's our dollars, it's our value, and I probably should have talked to both and did that whole thing. But sister girl got a life. I got a life, okay? I got babies on top of babies, and I got a job, and I got a man. I got a life. I don't got all the time to do all of that. 5 years, though. 5-year plan when I'm up out of that job. Okay, but anyway. So no, I just streamlined and I just made a decision. I'm going to pursue this person and see how far it goes. And if we're compatible and if it works, go from there and see what I like. I am someone who has taught in this area in a long time. I've studied it a long time, and I definitely needed someone in the industry. I did not want to feel like I'm teaching my editor. I wanted someone in the industry that has a proven track record, that really knows their stuff and has really been immersed in publishing for a long time, to be my editor. And that was the only way I was really willing to spend money on that contract, is that they needed to have a tried, true, and tested longevity working in the publishing field, editing books. And that's not for everything. My cover designer is a newbie, and she's brand spanking new out of college and fabulous. And we work well together, and I show her as much as she shows me, and that works for that. But as far as this editing journey, hiring a freelance editor, I wanted someone to be able to show and lead me and know their stuff, okay? The person offered me 5 to 10 pages free editing reviews so I could see if we were compatible. We had a couple of conversations. We talked about what the contract breakdown will be. Little side tip here. Once you're in this place with your writing, you're paying for things, whether it be a book cover, an editor, a review, ad, get an LLC so that you can write that stuff off your taxes. Okay, because that's the next journey I am on. So I've been keeping all my receipts. And how do I do it? Because I don't have a whole lot of money. I got a whole lot of kids, not a whole lot of money. How do I do it? So when you get paid, you usually pay yourself. And when you pay yourself, whether it be, this is a digress, I'm sorry, but I need to say this for all my mom sisters out there. You get paid, you pay yourself. And typically when you pay yourself, you go buy yourself a new cute little outfit. You go buy yourself some shoes. Maybe you get your hair and nails done. Maybe you go buy yourself a couple of frappes. Whatever it is that you do to treat yourself. What I chose to do is, instead of me doing any of those things, and sister girl really want to shop because the weather is nice, and you always want to get something new when the weather is nice. I just said, okay, my allowance that I give myself, that 1% of my check that I give myself, I'm going to put toward this. And that means I can't do the other stuff. I can't get my nails done. I can't get my hair done. I can't get an outfit. And I can't. And that's how I did it. And I started to bemoan. The funny thing is I started to bemoan like, oh, I really want to get an outfit. It's so nice outside. I need to make more money. Maybe I need to get a side hustle. And I actually started doing that. And the Lord said, girl, hush up that noise. You're sacrificing to invest in yourself. And I had to remember that. And thank you. Yes, I am. So that's what I did. That's what you can do. The little side money, your little coffees, cappuccinos, whatever, your hair, your nail, whatever. Say, instead, I'm going to put this pot toward this and invest toward this. So that's what I did. So we did meet. We talked a couple of times over the phone. We haven't met in person. She doesn't live in the state I live in. She did the review. I could appreciate the review. And we moved on from there. And I felt like this might be a connection. There were some other really God wink type connections between her and I that I will share as I get further in the journey with her, and hopefully it works out well and we go through this process. It's a summer-long process and it's about 3 months. And so with this first manuscript, so I definitely will share a lot of those God winks when it comes further along. But you know how when you release something too soon and then you like, okay, that wasn't God, because it ended up blowing up in your face. So that's what I don't want to do. I just want to make sure that this relationship is really working. And I don't really know that. It is sort of walking blindly into this experience because you pay your money up front, you give your manuscript, and it's kind of hands off until you see it come back again. And that's where I'm at. It's in the dark with that. So that is how I even pursue getting an editor. I was at a certain place in my writing where I've been on this journey a long time with intentionality and with reviewing and critiquing and beta readers, going through all of those phases. And now I'm at a point where I just wanted to be able to push and grow and move forward in my writing with a professional in the industry to be able to help guide me and help me grow more. That is why I chose to have an editor. That's why I'm choosing to invest my little coins in an editor, a freelance editor. And this person is a New York editor in the publishing industry that has a side hustle of doing editorial work. And so I have chosen to go this route. I'm very proud of it. I think it's a major step in me validating my passion for writing. I do believe that this is a validation of my work for me. A lot of people talk about imposter syndrome. And I don't believe in imposter syndrome. I think you have to encourage thyself. You have to do what it takes to validate yourself, to puff yourself up, to pull back those shoulders, push that chest out, and say you belong in this space because you do. And so I hope that's what you're getting from Pizzo's Perfection and this writing journey. Please watch Editor or Not Part 2. Editor or Not Part 2 to hear a very juicy editorial letter about Wisdom House Dance Club. Hopefully I give you some ideas about whether you should invest in an editor or not. Thank you.